So good morning. Welcome to Early Care Connection. I'm Izzy Greenberg. Today we are joined by our resident panel of early childhood experts, Meryl Gay from the Connecticut Early Childhood Alliance and Ava Bermuda Zimmerman from Child Care for CT. Of course, thank you to Louiselle for providing interpretation for us so that so many more people can be here, can learn, and can grow this community. So it's a wonderful thing. A reminder to everyone here to speak slowly for interpretation and to try to keep acronyms to the most minimum if possible. But our community does know these terms at this point. A reminder to use the chat if you're having any technical difficulties or for conversation between the community, but to use the Q&A for questions for the panelists. Okay, so today we've got the team from the Office of Early Childhood here. They have a number of things to go over. I'm actually going to just turn it over to the interim commissioner, Elena Trueworthy, and she's going to kind of walk us through this whole thing. We're going to be talking about health insurance, care for kids, and a whole lot more. So Elena, interim commissioner, Elena Trueworthy. Commissioner, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, and good morning. It's so wonderful to be here 2 Mondays in a row, so I'm very thankful for the opportunity. It is the month of Thanksgiving, and so a good time to be thankful and show lots of gratitude. And so I'm just wanted to start with a quote, which is, always remember people who have helped you along the way, and don't forget to lift someone up. I have seen so many times recently, but really over a good amount of time, where this field has really come together and you are lifting each other up. During listening sessions, when a provider or somebody asks a question, so many people jump in to offer their thoughts and their experiences.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, one quick second. Louiselle, I believe you're muted. Could you please unmute? Thank you. That's okay. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner. My apologies.
No worries. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, and just how appreciative I am and how this community has really come together to support one another. So at the Office of Early Childhood, we have, yes, a lot going on, and there's a lot of changes that are occurring, very exciting changes for the field and for families. I did want to start with an announcement, some great news hot off the press here, which is that we at the Office of Early Childhood will be able to extend the free background checks for another 6 months. So free background checks will continue through June 30th of 2026. The original plan was that background checks were going to revert back to having it be paid for either at the provider or the individual level. But given all the uncertainty and things happening in the field, we didn't know if it was going to be able to be possible, but we were able to pull it together where we can extend that for another 6 months. So we're really happy to be able to announce that this morning for all of you. Secondly, want to say a big thank you to the OEC team. We announced that the request for applications for at least or around 1,000 new state-funded Early Start Connecticut spaces will get released pretty soon. And so we're really gearing up for that. And we know that a lot of you are waiting for that application to come out. In addition, we know that there's a lot of stress around care for kids. There's just unprecedented demand from families. And we are working the enrollment management system as much as we can to move families off of that. But we know that there's a wait list, and we know that that causes a lot of stress for you all providers as well. And then the exciting work happening with the health insurance pilot subsidy program. So excited to share kind of the steps forward and actions that are being taken around that. I now want to hand it over to Jill Marini from the CCDF team. And CCDF team has been working so diligently, listening to all of you in the field and to parents and families about how we can help streamline the Care for Kids system, right? Update it, keep it efficient and effective as possible so that we can continue to work these systems and to have the most impact. I guess I can stop there. I don't know if there were any questions that I can field right now, or if we'll let this.
I think we're good to proceed for now.
Wonderful. Jill, I'll hand it over to you, and thank you so much for your leadership on this.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you to the CCF team that is here today. If we can start our slideshow, I am going to attempt at some point during this presentation to do the polls like they did last week. I don't know if I will be as successful, so I ask that you have mercy with me if I am not. We just wanted to give you some updates and tell you about some exciting things that are coming. The first thing we want to talk about is the wait list. Our goal is to have a ceiling of 23,000 children on the actively receiving Care for Kids. This summer, we exceeded 23,000 3 months out of the summer. We know this happens every summer because we have some children who only use Care for Kids or are on Care for Kids for the summertime. So we went up above 23,000 this summer, and in September we were down to 21,000 and change, and we'll see that start going back up now that it's settled down a little bit. And we know that those children who are only using it for the summertime will not be coming back for before and after school care. So our goal is to go back up to that 23,000 a month. We also wanted to share some beliefs that may not be true about Care for Kids. And one of them is that Care for Kids has processing delays. That is not correct. Currently, Care for Kids is up to date on application, and what happens is once you are notified that you're on the wait list, your application has been processed. So it's not because of processing delays that families are not receiving Care for Kids. Right now, we're base our enrollment on funding fees. And like I mentioned, funding levels. As I mentioned earlier, our goal is to be at 23,000. And during the summer, we do see a spike. So in the fall, it comes down a little bit, and then we go back up to 23,000. So just know that if you've made it to the wait list, that your application has been processed. Another belief is that the parent-provider agreement is needed for families on the enrollment list. That's not true. The PPA is only needed when you are ready, when you're invited off the enrollment wait list and are ready to receive care. So that's important to know. You don't have to choose families don't have to choose their provider at the time of submission of application. The other thing we wanted to talk about is it's really important to share the pre-screener with families to see if they're eligible. About 60% of applications that are received from families are determined.
Go ask Lukey.
60% of applications that are received are determined uneligible or ineligible. So it's important that we encourage families to use the pre-screener, and not, if it tells them that they don't qualify, we shouldn't recommend that they just apply to see what happens. I know a lot. When I was a provider, we did that. But sitting in this seat now, I see that 60% of those applications are declined, which can bog things down at Care for Kids, and it takes away time from when they could be reaching out to families who are on the wait list to determine if they still want to be on the wait list. So again, 60% of applications being declined is a large number. So if we could help families determine their eligibility prior and not encourage them to apply even when the screener tells them they're not eligible. I'm going to turn it over to Laura Bennett now, and she's going to talk a little bit about our Care for Kids policy manual path.
Thanks, Jill. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Bennett. I am the CCDF Quality Project Manager and a member of the policy team. So just to go over this briefly again, in July 2024, the Care for Kids state regulations were repealed. So we put together a policy team to begin working on developing a new policy manual in August of 2024. We began drafting that manual beginning in the fall. So it's between September and December of 2024, we started listening sessions to start getting provider feedback. And then from there, we also, in May of 2025, decided to do a public comment portal, which was another way for us to get stakeholder provider feedback and really get ideas on policies that can be changed. Next, we are in the phase where leadership is reviewing our policy manual draft, and in January of 2026, it will be sent off to the Office of Attorney General for review. So we have finished our first version of this, our first draft, and we are waiting for feedback and moving forward. So we're very excited about the next steps on that. And with some of that provider feedback, especially through our public comment portal, what we really noticed was that parents, caregivers, were strongly preferring going online, using our online submission for applications. So we have decided to really focus on this as some changes are going to be coming. We are going to be making Care for Kids paperless starting in January 2027. And with that, we are beginning.
I am not hearing her. Are other folks, or is it me?
She's frozen.
She's frozen.
Okay, is there someone else who can take over for her until she comes back?
Laura.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, Laura, go ahead.
I will.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Laura Dunleavy, part of the policy team. Yeah, just to finish up what Laura Bennett was saying, we are going paperless January 2027. And as we're going to be sharing with you after the presentation is over, we have developed some newsletters that we hope to get out quarterly because we want to make sure that everyone is up to date on the changes that are happening. And we will also hope to come on these calls on Monday quarterly when we release those newsletters to give an overview and answer any questions. So we want to keep in good communication with the field and let everybody know what's happening. So the next slide. The other exciting piece that we're working on right now is a pilot for the parent-provider agreement. Currently, we have a great parent portal where parents can submit their Care for Kids application online. They can complete all of their redetermination paperwork online, and they can also upload information right into the parent portal online. The one piece that is still totally driven by paper is the parent-provider agreement. And right now, providers need to complete a parent-provider agreement for every child that is registered in Care for Kids, and for initial application as well as redetermination or any changes in payment or scheduling. So it's a lot of paper. And in order to move the program to a paperless environment, we are now building an online parent-provider form. We will be using the Provider 360 portal. Some of you might be very familiar with that. You may use it for your Elevate updates when you've updated a plan, or looking at information related to licensing, or even getting some Care for Kids information on payments and other paperwork. But we are currently in the process of building and enhancing that portal to include an online parent-provider agreement. So we are really excited about that. We have enlisted some providers. If you are interested in being a part of that pilot, you would need to be an active user of Provider 360. So if you're not, we can figure out a way to get you an invite to join the portal. Everybody would have received an invite if you are a licensed provider. So we would need to resend those invites if you hadn't already used it. And again, we'll be looking for those providers to give us feedback on our portal design, what's working, what's not, and just really ensure that it is working before we roll it out for parents and everybody else. I think that ends. I'm going to stop sharing, and then we will turn it back to Jill for her questions.
Thank you very much, Laura Dunleavy. I also want to say that that one of the things that we did hear from our friends over at Care for Kids is that oftentimes they get the application from the parent online, the provider fax it, and the parent sends it in. And it's important to note that Care for Kids has to touch every piece of paper that comes in and scan it and log it. So as much providers as we want to support families, and we want to make sure it gets in, and we want to make sure it gets in correctly, when we all send it in, all three of you send it in, that causes 3 sets of paperwork to have to be touched. So again, moving to this paperless, and I know we did it with fingerprints and we got it through and it streamlined the process. We really believe going paperless is going to streamline that process. So I want to direct your attention to the QR code. If you could scan that code and answer how often you change your rates, that would be very helpful. That is one of the questions that we're attempting to build. It's not a question we're attempting to build. It's a question we have to answer to finish the digital build out or the technical build out of the PPA and everything going online. I do want to ask too if we put an email in the chat of Laura Dunleavy. Do we put an email in the chat of people who they could reach out to participate in the pilot? But your answers here are not shocking me. I'm seeing annual, a lot of annually once, which is great because that lets us know how to build out the system. I'm going to let this go for a few more minutes. And it's pretty.
Is it possible, do you have a link for this QR code for folks who are watching on their phone? They may not be able to scan.
Well, Izzy, I might. Again, I'm trying. Let me
You may
see
be
if
able to just take the URL from the top and copy
let's
and
try
paste
that. Let's try that.
Try it.
All right, let
Because
me
for
come
folks
back
who are
here.
on their phone, they're not going to be able to participate.
Yeah, that makes
Thank you.
sense. Let me try that.
And while I have everyone, can you please make sure you're putting any questions in the Q&A? I see some old ones in the chat. I want to make sure that things get answered. So please use the Q&A for any questions for the team.
All right, so we're seeing pretty much the same answer here. So thank you very much. This will be extremely helpful for us as we move forward in the technical build out. So then I'm going to go to the next question. If I can get this little bar to go away. The bar is going to go away and we are going to go to, nope. Again, I'm so not technically the person. Okay. Let's see. If I do this, will it let me do it? I'm going to go with this. And then I'm going to go back up here. Okay, so here is our next question that will also help us with the build out. Do you offer part-time care? And that can look like half-time care, quarter-time care. Sometimes it depends on the family. We just need to, this is also something that we're looking in the technical build out to determine how we're going to format that portion of the providers entering their rates and other things to get you to a paperless PPA. And we'll just give that a couple minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put the QR code in there.
I don't think that worked when you did that before, by the way. Did anyone have success with it? I tried it and it didn't seem to work for me. Is there another member of the OEC team who might have those?
No.
No, okay, that's all right. I'm trying to see if I can,
but live and learn. We will know for
open it up.
next time. We will know for next time that we have to figure out how to put a link in there. But if people want to answer in the chat, OEC people can pick those up.
Here, I've got, I can get it.
Okay.
I've got
Thank
it.
you, Izzy. We
No
appreciate you.
problem. Just let me, this one is part-time, half-time. Okay.
Okay. We'll give it about another 15 seconds.
My guess is that the link I just shared should work over and over because it's your name. And so I'm guessing as you change it, we'll
Oh,
see how it goes.
okay. Let's see how that goes.
And by the way, Jill, it's that top left thing.
Oh, up here.
With your name in it, that's the URL we have to share. So if the next one is different,
Busy?
we'll know that for the next one.
Thank you. Okay, we're bouncing back between 75. Oh, we're up to 78.7. So that gives us a pretty good, we've stayed pretty steady with the responses, the percentages. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that. I'm going to lock it and I'm going to move on. And I want to state that we heard the conversation in the listserv. We heard the frustration and the angst of, the Care for Kids enrollment wait list. We heard that providers are very concerned that there's a gap between today and when the endowment fully runs out. And we really want to talk about that with families. We want to offer, I mean, not with them, well, we do want families to know, but we also want to talk to you about it. And we want to make sure that we're offering you resources and being transparent with you. So the first question we wanted to ask is, do you allow families who are on the Care for Kids wait list to start without an approved certificate? And again, I'm going to ask Linda and the team at WBDC, when providers are in this position where they know families need care and they can't afford it, and they're in that position where I let this family start and I might not make the money, like, what is your advice to providers when they're facing that family and they're trying to operate their business, knowing that there could potentially be a 7 to 8 month wait list for Care for Kids? What is your advice?
Well, first of all, I never recommend that they provide care for free. These are businesses, and just like any other business, you cannot provide your service for free and plan on staying in business. Now, with that said, I know that childcare providers are warm, nurturing, caring people who, when families come in and they have, a situation, they are the first ones that want to help. So I can understand that perspective. However, if you take a family who isn't paying you, and then another family comes to the door and says, but I need care and I can pay you, what are you going to do then? So you need to think about that. And the flip side of that is, if a family waiting for Care for Kids is paying you something is better than nothing. So what we recommend, and Jen's going to talk about this a little bit, is that you really sit down with an advisor and figure out what your really true income is and your true expenses, and where you might have some wiggle room so you are able to get over this hump. Does that make sense? Oh, you're muted now, Jill.
5 years, still getting the hang of it. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. You touched on it. We got into this field because we're nurturing, caring people, and that's often a challenging place to be in. Thank you for that. Our next question is, and I know that people asked, but maybe we can provide the link for this as well in the chat. Do you check the Care for Kids website to determine the wait list prior to allowing families to start without a cert? This would give you an idea if how long you might potentially be waiting. You could use this as a business tool, because that will tell you how long the average wait is right now. Linda, do you and your team have anything to mention about this?
Linda, before you go, I'm just going to remind everyone that you can refresh. It's the same link for every question. And so if you are not scanning, you can just refresh it and it will pop up the new question for you.
Thank you, Izzy.
Well, like any other policy or external factor that impacts their business, we absolutely recommend that they stay on top of all of these things, whether it's the Care for Kids wait list or other things that are going to impact whether they're going to be able to enroll and and stay in business.
Meryl, you're highlighted. Do you have a comment?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lock this. And I'm going to go to the final question that we have, which is, do you have the parent complete the pre-screener to see if they are eligible before they apply for Care for Kids? And do you look at the pre-screener with them? I mean, if they allow you, I don't know. Maybe that's too much. I'll just stay right here. Do you have them complete the pre-screener? And Linda, again, I would assume that this is a tool that, you can use, because I have been seeing up in the chat people say, well, parents know they're not qualified, but they applied and then they get this and they get that, and then I'm stuck at the end. So, a good business practice would be to have them complete the pre-screener.
Well, I think sometimes parents feel like they are going to qualify and they communicate that to the provider, and that's not always the case. So I think that that's sort of the inspiration to go ahead and apply anyway.
Now remember, 60% of applications are denied.
I know.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of applications to be denied, especially when the pre-screener is available. Before I turn it over to Linda and her team to share some resources they have, I also want to mention that, Elena did talk about, or the interim commissioner did talk about the 1,000 new spaces that will be let out. And we also have the endowment spaces that are coming out in 27, and you should really be looking, if you want to be
Yes.
in a place to apply, be working with WBDC, be working with our navigators for Elevate to put you in a really great place to be able to step into that application, with as many points and as much confidence as you can. Acknowledging that, that is 2 years from now. But again, I think if you participate in WBDC's program, they're realists. Linda just gave you the answer she has. She said, if you're going to take the family, get with us so we can help you plan to take the family. It's not an either or. Maybe Linda and her team can help you figure out how you can support families while they're waiting on the wait list. So I'm going to turn it over to Linda.
Yes, Jill. That is one of the things that I do want to also reinforce is to have people get ready to apply for these early start spots, as you said. We did some presentation on it last week, and we want to be available to providers to really do some really great strategic planning so they are ready for that opportunity when it happens. In the meantime, when these other 1,000 spots are available, we would also love to see providers look at that as a potential, I don't want to say substitute for the Care for Kids, but if you have a family that is just never going to get through the Care for Kids off the enrollment wait list, then maybe using one of these spots for them could balance the books, so to speak. So anyway, Jen, I want to introduce Jen Garcia. She is one of our business advisors at WBDC. And what she wants to talk to you a little bit about is really how to make sure that you really are tracking all of your income and all of your expenses so we can formulate that plan to navigate some rougher waters. Jen?
Good morning. Thank you, Linda. So just want to introduce myself. This is the first time I'm on the call. I'm one of the new child care business advisors at WBDC. I'm Jennifer Garcia. Happy to be here presenting and talking to you guys. So we know you're in a tough spot, right? And unfortunately, there's no silver bullet here. But there are definitely, as Linda teed up and Jill mentioned, there are things that we can do to look at your specific situation. And everybody's particular situation is different. So on this, big, call, we can't really provide advice because it needs to be tailored to your specific situation. But and everybody's different. But what we can do, participating in WBDC's programs, we can definitely do in essence, a financial health assessment of your business. We can dive into the detail of your specific business situation to help you understand, where you can potentially optimize things. We can make sure that your income sources are optimized, that you're participating and you're charging the right rates and you're participating in every program available to you to get in income. Most importantly, we can help you manage expenses. So making sure you're budgeting correctly, tracking your income, and your expenses are optimized in a way that will help you weather this storm, right? And help you maximize every ounce of profit for your business. There. So we can help you do all of those things in a way that will help you get through this period and ensure you're making the best possible business decisions for yourself. That really is what we encourage everybody to do, is to make an appointment with an advisor at WBDC, me or Linda, somebody else potentially. We can help you work through details of your particular situation and hopefully make things a little bit easier. And to reiterate, I do want to shout out that everyone should be looking and getting yourself set up to apply for these new early start slots. As Linda mentioned, families who are waiting on Care for Kids may absolutely qualify, potentially. So, it can definitely be a stopgap to help you manage in the interim. So that's our best advice. Please reach out. Please make an appointment. We are here to help, WBDC, to help you get through this time. And as always, our services, our advising appointments, everything is free of charge. So please reach out. Here, we're ready. We really want to work with you.
Thank you, Jennifer and Linda. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Jen. I just want to make one more point too. First of all, I see that our program manager has been putting the link in the chat on how to make an appointment with one of us. So, and you can always reach out to us. And I do want to mention too that having really good business policies and payment policies are going to be very vital at this time. And I happen to be doing a class on that tomorrow at 1:00. So I would love to see you all there. It will be recorded for those of you who can attend, but that is something that you definitely want to make sure that you have really good policies right now. That's going to help you a lot. And that's all I have.
Linda and Jennifer. And then I wanted to add one last thing. We are talking, OAC is talking with United Way at 211 we're going to provide them with the childcare centers that have empty early start spaces. And they are going to be reaching out to families who are on the wait list who live in that region or in that area to inform them that there are spaces available, that it's not Care for Kids, but they're early start spaces that families may find comparable to Care for Kids. So we're looking at ways that we can support taking care of families, getting families off the wait list, getting children in the seats where they need to be. So we appreciate WBDC for coming on. I appreciate the CCDF team for coming on and answering questions. And now I'd like to turn it over to Maggie Adair and Kathleen Hinman.
Thank you, Jill. Good morning, everybody. We just wanted to have a really quick message about the health insurance subsidy survey that we've put out to the field. We sent it to all licensed providers that we have an email address for from our licensing division last Monday, the 10th. I just sent it out again right now while we've been on this Zoom call, and I'm going to put the two links in the chat right now in English and in Spanish. You only need to fill it out once. There's no need, if you get it from a couple of different sources, there's no need to fill it out more than once. And in terms of the mandate that we received from the legislation earlier this year, I'm going to turn it over to Maggie to do a high-level overview of what we're looking for.
Good morning. So we just want to let you know this survey is entirely anonymous. So it's really important that we encourage everyone, whether they do have health insurance or they don't have health insurance or they have inadequate health insurance, to respond to this survey. It's going to give us the information we need that was laid out in statute. And the statute passed in the Senate Bill 1 that provides up to $300,000 for the health insurance exchange, NOEC, to conduct this survey and then do an analysis so that we have enough data so that by May 1st, 2026, we can submit, the exchange can submit a report to the Early Childhood Education Endowment Board that will provide recommendations about how much the health insurance subsidy can be within the $10 billion that will be available starting in fiscal year January fiscal year 2027. July 1st, 2027, so that we will know how much we can provide in a health insurance subsidy based on the information in this survey. So this survey is really important that you fill this out. Kathleen, how many people have already applied?
So we have received about 700 survey responses back, and that was out of about 3,000 emails total. So pretty good response rate so far.
One other point I want to point out that this is the eligible providers must be licensed providers by the OEC. So either a licensed child care center, a group child care home, or a family child care home. This is not extended to programs in public schools because those employees already have health insurance through their school system. And yes, you please share this link with your staff, because you as a program director are one person, but we want to know from individual staff what their health insurance status is. Because as we know, many people may not have health insurance through their child care program, but they may have health insurance through their partner.
Have you shared this link on the ECE listserv, or will you be doing that? Should folks look out for it there as well?
We can certainly do that. Thank you, Izzy. That's
Sure.
a good idea.
There's also a question about, will the meeting tomorrow at 1 be translated? That's a little bit old, but before we get too far in. Does anybody know about that? That might be. No.
That's a WBDC question, isn't it?
Yep.
I believe so.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I was looking
Sorry,
at the
Linda.
chat.
Will the meeting tomorrow at 1 be translated? Interpreted?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Maggie, apologies, go ahead. Or Kathleen.
I'm turning over to Kathleen. Do we have anything else to add, Kathleen?
Don't see any other questions other than sharing with staff, which you answered. Yes, we definitely want it shared. I guess the only other thing is we will leave this open until November 24th. So one more week. The survey takes the average of the 700 people who have responded so far. The survey takes a little bit under 3 minutes. So it's not a big time commitment, but it will help inform decisions related to health insurance subsidy. So it is a really important thing to complete as you have time.
And again, it is completely anonymous.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yep, and I'm also going to put, so that it's, let's see, copy. I'm putting the URL for the health insurance survey into the question in the Q&A, so it is also there. Okay, thank you. So we do still have some questions from before. OEC folks, are you good with taking questions? I know we had kind of skipped around a little bit. I don't know if there's people here who still want to take questions or who can, or if you'd rather to put them in writing. What's the preference? Some of them are Care for Kids related.
I think we can answer them if we can.
Great. All right, perfect. So let's start with, there's one here that is in Spanish. And the question translated is, could you talk a little bit about whether Care for Kids will disappear? And I'm guessing that is sort of with early start starting, does that mean a phase out of Care for Kids? I'm guessing that's the question.
Yeah, we hear that a lot, and no, that's not the plan. Care for Kids is not going anywhere. It is not, early start, and the expansion of early start is not meant to sunset or do away with Care for Kids.
Great. And folks, I'm seeing questions still going in the chat. If you have questions for panelists, please put them in the Q&A. Okay, Joanne asks, as a follow-up to this question about part-time care, it would be helpful if 211/OEC could adjust their enrollment survey so that it's easier to answer questions when a program only offers part-time care, like a nursery school.
That is excellent feedback, and that is why we asked that question, because again, as we're working on the streamlined paperless PPA, we're looking at a way to capture that information in a much less confusing and burdensome way. So that is good feedback. You know, we probably didn't even think that we have programs that only offer part-time, so that's a good tip to take into consideration.
And folks, if you see me dismissing your comments, it's just because they're comments and I'm not probably going to get to read those all aloud. I will take the chat and the Q&A and send that to the staff at Office of Early Childhood, so they will receive that after this as well. Joyce is wondering, will Care for Kids be available to families receiving early start starting July 1st, 27?
I'm going to say that that is above my pay grade, and I don't think that we have an answer for that one yet, or how it will look, or what the recipe will be. But it's something that we're very carefully considering, because we understand the three-legged stool. So we are not saying yes or no at this point. We're looking at how do we do it in a way that best supports families and children as well as providers. I do want to say, I did see a comment in the chat. I'm going to jump off on Izzy for a second, where somebody said that they call Care for Kids weekly to follow up on recent applications. This is not a case where the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You know, if calling the wait list, the website that says the enrollment management is at 7 months, calling every week is not going to move your families up any faster. It's just one thing that you're doing that you don't need to do. And I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. I'm trying to also do it.
I just want to add to that idea that really, as we move to a more paperless environment, we're really looking at enhancements to give providers and families real-time information about the processing status. So, you know, it may feel like a big change over the next, year or two, but I think it's going to lead a lot of efficiency.
And to piggyback off of Laura, we had the one entry portal here and last week. And one of the things that we're looking to build into the portal is text messages and emails that go out automatically. You're still on the way, as your application moves through the process. And we're also looking to build into the system where kind of a check-in gets sent out, a text or an email gets checked. Are you still interested? You're still on the wait list. Are you still interested? Because one of the things that we heard a lot from families is that, they go on this wait list and they don't hear anything. So we're looking at ways we can stay in contact with them while they're on the enrollment management list.
Thank you, Meryl.
So there was a question here in the chat. The problem with paperless is we have no proof that the parent sent in the Care for Kids application and was received by Care for Kids. So it's the issue of, like, am I going to give somebody a discount while they're waiting for Care for Kids? Do I even know that they submitted the application? if it's all paperless and I'm not involved in helping them fill out the form, is there a way that if you don't have to have a PPA in time at the time of application, is there a way that a parent could prove that, yes, I am on the wait list to a provider who is trying to decide whether they're going to give them a discount and enroll them?
It's a good idea, Meryl, and we can take that back to our tech team and right now, BCIS, you get a fingerprint card, registry, you get a registry card. Maybe there's something, or we can provide that parents can provide to providers to let them know. And I know Laura just came off mute.
I apologize. My dog is barking. So if you hear him barking, I apologize. Parents do receive a notice from Care for Kids if they are placed on the wait list. So there is still a mailing that would go out to families that a provider could ask for from the parent.
We are thinking about going digital, so it might end up being an email later, but we're trying to reduce the number of pieces of paper that get sent out. Because again, streamlining and cost efficiency.
There's a few more questions here. Francesca wonders, will there be any help from the OEC to fund Care for Kids in the meantime, while families are being waitlisted due to there not being funding? I have a classroom that's closed due to families not being approved for Care for Kids. We need help with funds for these families to get childcare so they can go to work. If providers have to wait until 2027, it's going to affect us and our business.
Yes, we hear that loud and clear. So if you remember last year, we cleared the wait list. And we used ARPA funds to do that. All of the ARPA funds have gone away. And I sit on calls with other state administrators and most, except for smaller states that, don't have a lot of childcare, like some of the northern New England states, don't have a lot of childcare needs. There's wait lists in most states. And like I said, what we're doing is we're managing those numbers to say as close to 23,000. 23,000 is more than we've ever served before. It's gone up steadily over the years. So we, one of our knee-jerk reaction was to bring WBDC on here to offer support. But just know that, we are painfully aware of the things that are going on in the field right now. And I don't have any answers for you today.
Thank you, Jill. And listen, this is what this forum is for. It's for a two-way conversation. And I really appreciate both you being here and also saying sometimes you don't know. I appreciate our community for always highlighting the things that need attention. And so we'll just keep doing that. And there might not always be answers, but hopefully there's a steady forward momentum over time. Meryl, I'll turn to you, but actually Rhonda has just a quick question, which is WBDC, if a 1 o'clock Zoom is there an evening option for folks who can't make the 1 o'clock?
I don't have an evening one on the calendar right now, but we often do them in the evening. And again, it is a recorded session. So sometimes that's a lot easier for people to watch it at their own convenience, rather than, scheduling in live. And if they have questions after they watch the recording, I'm more than happy to sit down and go over everything with them.
And so if they register, will they be automatically sent the recording? If they just can't go at 1?
No, they will not automatically. They'll have to go into our website and click on it, but they can email me and I can send them the recording.
Great, thank you so much. If you wouldn't mind putting your email and website either in that question or in the chat, thank you. Meryl.
So there was a question here about will there be a online portal where providers can see all of their parents who are on Care for Kids. And I was thinking sort of addition to that would be, is there a way that when parents are applying for Care for Kids, that they could check a box to say, share my status with this provider, so that the provider could see that, this parent still has a document that needs to be submitted, so that they could, pester them to get that thing submitted.
think there's two things to that question. The first one I'll answer is the things that need to be submitted. We are we are moving intentionally towards not allowing applications to be submitted without all the proper documentation. Like, kind of if you don't put the right zip code in or you don't put a zip code in when you're shopping online, it doesn't let you proceed, that kind of thing. So to eliminate that waiting for documents, like if you have it all together, you can get it all in together. I think, trying to think of what your first part of the question was. We're thinking very intentionally about the build out of the one entry portal and what providers will be able to see on the back end. Providers now can, and this is only children that are already approved for Care for Kids and they have a PPA. You can log into your Provider 360 and see those children. You just can't see the children that are on the wait list. But we're thinking very carefully on how providers can support families and what they're seeing on the back end of the one entry portal.
Okay.
All right, thanks. We've got 1 minute left. Hoping that Team OEC can answer some of these questions in writing before we jump off in a few minutes. But is there Jill, any last things that you need to go over before we wrap this segment up?
No, I think that, I hear you, I hear your heart. You want to take families, work with WBDC to figure out how do you do that. When you want to take a vacation, you budget for it. So work with Linda to see how you can support those families that we hear so passionately that you are committed to within the realm of your budget and your world. If you plan for something, you can make it happen. And I think Linda and her team can really support you in building out something that you vision in supporting families while we work through you waiting for families to get off the wait list and for early start the expansion.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Well, listen, we got a lot covered today. We know there's more questions out there. There always are. That's just the way this is. We will send, as I said, the Q&A and the chat to the team at the Office of Early Childhood for consideration. And as soon as possible, we'll get folks back to answer more questions when there's more answers. So thank you to everyone for joining. And I'm going to wrap up this segment and turn it over to Ava to give some announcements.
So part of the conversation that's going to be continued will be continued in Child Care for CT to hear your feedback on what's going to happen or what do you want with the portal. So this Wednesday, we will have the Office of Early Childhood on, led by Eloisa Melendez on Child Care for CT, normal, our usual community meeting, 6:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. It's Zoom. Wednesday the 19th, 6:30 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. To log in and participate there, please sign up on our childcare4ct.org portal, and we hope to see you there. It is aimed, like the last listening session, towards parents, but you are all trusted messengers. You have that trust of your parents, so please spread the word. Let them know that we're doing these digital versions so people can participate. The time hopefully is more accommodating for parents who are busy or on the go. We will make sure during live time to promote Parent Voices First, but of course, providers are welcome to join on that call. So hope to see you all and parents this Wednesday at the portal session if you haven't been to a portal session yet.
All right, thank you. And listen, everyone, what I'm trying to do is, I know that we have a lot that goes into the chat that is in Spanish. That's great for our Spanish speakers, and I'm trying to kind of do a little bit more translating in there, because I think some of the messages that are coming through in Spanish really should be read by our English audience as well, and vice versa. It's hard for me to get everything into both languages, but I'm trying to monitor and share a little bit more that way. So if you're seeing some things in double because you are bilingual, then that's probably a lot for you, but I'm sorry, just trying to do that a little bit more. Okay, I think that's it. Meryl, did you have anything that you needed to go over this morning?
Nope.
Okay. Any federal, nothing federal to speak of other than the shutdown update? I don't know.
So
1 minute.
Oh, I think it is worth mentioning that if people are paying attention to special session, we did reach out to folks to have a conversation about special session to give some updates. So to be continued on that.
Okay. Yeah. Meryl?
Yeah, there was a Section 18 of House Bill 5002 that talks about allowing group family childcare anywhere where residential housing is allowed. I need to read the bill more thoroughly to understand if that is conditional on something else, but there's something in there that we should, for next week, have some better answers on.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that. All right, thank you, Ava. Thank you, Meryl. Thank you, Team WBDC. Thank you, Team OEC. Thank you to our amazing members here. Everybody have a wonderful week. Oh, I forgot a holiday last week. I forgot to, and now I forgot which holiday I forgot. But anyway, if anyone is marking anything special, celebrating anything special this week or last week, I hope that it's meaningful for you, whichever one it was. I should have written it down. Have a great week, and we will see you back here next week.
And you're going to leave the Zoom open while the translations finish and questions get answered?
Yes, I'll give it 1 more minute before I close it out. Thanks, everyone. It was Veterans Day. Forgot to say Happy Veterans Day. That's a big one too. I just looked. Oh my gosh. Sorry, everyone. There's no one here still, but 100 people still. Well, Happy Veterans Day. If any of you are veterans, thank you. I'll say it again next week because I forgot. All right, wrapping up. Bye.